Hi, and welcome to Unmasking the Trans Movement News. We put this show together because, well, we want to keep you up to date. It's super important that we take all of the information that comes in on a daily basis and, well, we're going to regurgitate it for you a little bit. You've seen this throughout other media platforms, but you haven't seen the experts necessarily discuss some of these topics. That's exactly what we're going to do with this show. We're going to expose, we're going to find some results, and hopefully some real hope and some commitment from others like you out there watching to provide, I guess, a real effort moving forward. And the effort can't just be from myself or any of our guests. It's going to have to come from you, the parents at home. So with that, there is a lot going on from wokeism. There is a backlash to wokeism, which is, I think, fantastic to see. There's been a lot going on in the media over the last few days, and there is a lot happening in the world of wokeism. We've seen a backlash over the last, well, we'll say 2 months now, in a greater way than ever before. It's affected the pocketbooks of these major corporations who have caused some real damage to their own reputations, to their companies, and also to their staff. So with that, Dr. Ann Gillies is with me here today to discuss all of these fantastic topics and issues. And Dr. Ann, I will start with Anheuser-Busch. Boy, did their stocks crash and did their beer sales plummet on Bud Light. And now they're starting to be affected, I guess, with other brands throughout the Anheuser-Busch logo and label. Other organizations, they've been starting to step up now with these woke ads. And I guess the trend seems to be moving in that fashion. A lot of companies are starting to head that way. Why? Why are companies putting their own, corporations at risk, their own pocketbooks, their investors? Why are they, pissing in somebody's cornflakes that is the hand that feeds them?
That's a great way to put it. Listen, this isn't something that's just happened just like that. This has been coming for a while, and certainly there's been this push in advertising, and actually they have threatened companies if they don't advertise in a particular manner, or if I know of one incident at least, and I'm sure there's this multiplied over and over, that the advertising company said they would pull their advertising if a certain broadcaster did not conform to what they were wanting this person to conform to. And it's not just broadcasting, of course, it's in every area. So my sense with all this is that the advertisers have said, this is what we want we want this kind of promotional material all across the board. And I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I was in the US and I went into a Target. And so this Target, they had lots of LGBT stuff, like pride stuff, not as much as what we're seeing right now in the media, but it was all over. And I'm thinking, man, why do we need this? Why do we need to have this all over? And so now this is pretty interesting, because what we're seeing is the backlash. People are sick of it. They're tired of it being put in their space all the time. And I think that's where we are at. And so we're seeing the backlash. I couldn't have wished for a better outcome. I mean, this sounds awful. And I'm not against people. I'm not against humanity. But what I am against is propaganda, and I am against a particular group of people pushing an ideology, a religion, if you want, on other people.
A religion at one sense of the ideology side of things. Another one is just a trend for our kids. Our kids think that this is trendy, hip, cool, and the newest thing. Well, there's a lot going on in that world too, and schools are being affected, kids are being affected, our kids are coming home different, teachers are spending 8 hours a day with these kids, are able to put that ideology into their heads, and Now we've got, obviously, the entertainment world doing the same thing and have been doing it for years as well. It was considered entertainment back then, though, and it's not so much today anymore. It's more the wokeism, and it's a push towards that. One of the things that you said a few minutes ago was the word they. Who are they? They are pushing it. So who are they?
Well, they are LGBTQ plus activists. So not the whole community, but the activists.
How do they get a corporation to change their views based on just normal, straight ahead corporate policies and procedures to be able to bend the corporation that way? Look, we're talking about less than 0.1% of the population being trans, and yet they're going to dictate what a corporation should do?
Okay, I'm going back to my second book, Closing the Floodgates. It's in there, and it is part of a particular ideology and agenda. And they talk about infiltrating the media, just like this. And it was in started kind of in 1970, and by 1990, they were ramped up. And so it's all in there. This has been happening. This has been happening for a few decades, only now it's kind of come right to fruition. And all of a sudden, the population's going, what the heck? And with Bush, and putting a male who thinks he is a woman on the can is offensive to other men, to men, And about time, because this is a small percentage of the population. But they have gained such a presence in the media that they think that they can just take over.
Yeah, I was playing on an old-timers hockey team a few years back, and the boys all loved Bud Light. I was on that team for about 6 or 7 years with the same guys. Every week was Bud Light. You play 2 or 3 times a week when you're an old-timer like that, and it was always Bud Light. Well, guess what? Bud Light ain't in the dressing room anymore. I used to razz them about drinking Bud Light. I don't drink anymore, but when I didn't drink Bud Light. I drank something a little more tasty. But and I could never understand why they kept drinking that, and they kept thinking, it's not as filling, and I can drink 7 of those before I go home tonight after hockey. But the wokeism that's affected their sales is dramatic. It's affecting their stockholders, as I mentioned. The company in general is now taking a huge hit. Target, same thing, $9 billion as of yesterday. That's a big number. Obviously, there's going to be some fallout from all of this at Target. We're seeing Ford now come in with a truck commercial, 2 trucks racing, and at the end of it, there's the pride flag on the side of the Ford truck. Again, it's some of this is being done subliminally, very, very manipulatively. I think that the organizations who are building these media ads need to be held accountable as well. It's not just about the corporation making a decision. These media production houses are basically saying the exact same thing. The new trend is this, and we got to be on board with this trend, and we got to say this, and we've got to do it this way. But again, it's they that are pushing the media companies now to design those ads that way, not to mention that the media companies going, ching, 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 dollar signs, I'm going to get my, we're going to make all kinds of money from this new thing. I know we got to do rainbows all the time, but it's okay, right? It's a $3 trillion a year industry, and it's growing by the minute. $3 trillion is nothing compared to the losses that the other companies, the woke companies, are starting to face. And I think that backlash is really starting to make an effect.